Good morning and welcome to another episode of Conversation with Buddy. We drop a new podcast every Friday morning with a new story that will impact someone, and we hope that someone is you. Thank you to all the listeners each week that take the time and hear our stories, and we know it's going to impact somebody. We hope that somebody is you. So please take a moment to subscribe and just share this on your favorite social media platform. Give us a review, and we appreciate that. Quick announcement, here on June 10th, there's going to be a men's conference here in Sede, Oregon. It's called the Pacific Northwest Men's Conference. Should be about 2,000 men there. It's going to be pretty awesome. Get signed up right away. This morning, I have a new guest, and I'm excited to introduce him. His name is Richi Sede. Welcome, Richi.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Hey, I want to just dive in and introduce you real quick and just tell about what I do know about you. Something I learned today is you're married. And you're also in the last part of your master's program here at Corban, which is cool. You played baseball at Corban as well for 4 years. That's awesome. You are studying clinical and mental health counseling. You're a youth group pastor. You have a podcast called Stories with Richi. It's pretty cool, by the way. And you're also an interpreter for missionaries, which is really, really cool. So you have a lot that we can talk about today. So let's just dive in. Here we go.
Well, born and raised in San Pedro de Macorís. So that town is very well known for very good baseball players. So I can mention Sammy Sosa, someone who was part of the revival of baseball, I could say. We have Robinson Cano, we have Fernando Tatis Jr., which is right now one of the stars in the game. They all are human who have failed, but they have taken our country to the next level, and they have opened a lot of doors for people like me to be able to play baseball as a profession and just make progress in life. So going back to the DR. So it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country that has, beautiful places to visit. People are amazing, family-oriented, community-oriented, I could say. I remember growing up that even though my parents were in charge of me, but even the neighbors, they had a responsibility to take care of me. I remember my parents moved here, and I knew that my neighbors were paying attention to my actions because they kept me accountable. So that's like the environment growing up. And baseball is a big thing. That's what we do every single day. So I started playing baseball when I was 5 years old. So I've played baseball for 18 years. And growing up playing baseball, going to school, I played a lot of sports. Growing up, basketball, volleyball, love soccer, and I can tell you, my country is a beautiful place. Like every place, they have their ups and downs. So I think my environment shaped me in a lot of ways to be who I am today. Specifically, my family. So I think I bring to the table. I can mention my oldest brother, Eric Benjamin, leadership with the youth group. Gilberto, my middle brother, he has the baseball mindset and building connections, the same as my dad. My dad always says, do not waste your time. Your time is money, or I could say gold if I were to say it in Spanish. So, by the way, Spanish is my first language. People here in Oregon, they get surprised to see a Black person speaking Spanish. So I consider myself Afro-Latino. That's a term. My family has influenced a lot. My mom has influenced in my in my desire to pursue psychology. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this and following this career, because I want to make a difference. Because I saw my mom working. She had a tiny shop, and she used to sell curtains. And some people used to come not to buy her stuff, but to ask for advice, and they were seeking for help. When I saw that growing up, I was like, wow, that's an amazing skill. And coming all the way up here to Corban, that's why. Well, that's the reason why I chose this career.
So how'd you get from the Dominican to Corban? So you're playing baseball. Why Corban?
Why Corban? So let me go back. So let's go back to 2016. So I was playing in a tournament called RVI. That's like rescuing the baseball of the inner of the city. That's even something that happened here in the U.S. So they have that tournament down there. And I remember playing. I was a good player. So I play shortstop, switch hitter. So I can do everything in it. Like I can run, I can do everything. So, I mean, the Lord has provided these skills, so I can glorify Him in this game. So, going back, I played that tournament, and I had an interesting experience that shaped my life. Because while playing in a tournament, I hit 400, which is pretty good.
Really good
for baseball. So I was in the top list. I was number 4, and then they were after I played a tournament. So what they did, the main goal of that tournament is to come to the U.S. and play in Minnesota, played like the championship. So that's like the dream of every kid growing up in the DR. Like that would be amazing, having the opportunity to represent your content abroad. While playing in that tournament, I didn't even make it to represent my town, even though I had the numbers. And to me, that was heartbreaking. And I remember going back home, and I started crying. And I remember saying, whenever I'm in a position of power, I want to provide justice, because I don't think that's what I experienced in that situation. During that time, I decided to quit baseball. So because I was like, this is a very disappointing experience, and I don't think it's worth continue playing, because people aren't taking into consideration the work I'm putting. So I started to start coaching. I remember my dad and my middle brother. I remember being in the room. I was like, I'm retired for baseball. I'm done. And then they started having a conversation. They were like, okay, we respect your decision. However, could you please continue coaching in the little league, and you can train on your own, but don't fully quit what you've been called to do. So I was okay. I listened to them, and then I started learning English, and that's how I started connecting with missionaries, and I was interpreting from English to Spanish and vice versa. So that's how I was able to use my skills.
Are you still in high school at this point in time?
During that time, I was done with college, but I couldn't continue. I had to drop out of college because I couldn't have.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm at this point where baseball is not working. I tried to attend to college, but I cannot afford it. I was okay, what can I do? Okay, let's go with English and continue training and helping the kids in the little league.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year, and my coach, I remember Jose Guzman, he was like, Richi, you should give it a try. Go back to the tournament. This is your last year. I know what happened, but you should give it a try. Like, you never know. I was like, you know what? Let me go. I was out of shape. Anyways, I was able to perform well. I remember in just 30 at bats, I was able to hit like 4 triples, RBIs. So I did all what was in my control, and it was a good learning experience. That sometimes, even though you put the work and you put whatever it is required, sometimes you just can't control what you can control.
Right.
So I did very well. I was able that year to make it to represent my town. That was huge. And then not just that, but I was able to represent the Dominican Republic it wasn't in the World Series. It was like before the World Series. So we played Florida. That was my first time coming to the U.S. So I did that, and it was an amazing experience. And then I went back to the Dominican Republic. And I was like, okay, what's next with my life? And I was like, okay, let's continue with English, looking for jobs. And then my parents moved here, and specifically to Oregon. So they had a connection. There was someone that was willing to sponsor that. I was like, hey, let's be patient, and who knows what happens. So my middle brother helped me with the process, and I came to visit my parents, and I was like, okay, now I'm here in Oregon. What can I do? So I started applying to different, I didn't know the difference between a community college or an university. So I started going to community colleges, and some of them were like, oh, you're good, but like we cannot help you out with what you need. And I was okay, it was a learning. I mean, it was like another sample. Okay, even though you have the talent, it doesn't mean that you deserve what you think you deserve. So and then I went to a community college, and one of the coaches, the head coach, he was like, you know what? I know someone at Corban University, and you mentioned you're a Christian. And, you know, I'd love to connect you with the head coach, with Derek Leg. And
Derek.
Yes. And I was okay, let me give it a try. So I started reaching out to Corban, and they gave me the opportunity to do some tryouts. And after that, they welcomed me. So that's how I was able to connect with Corban. And also the Hispanic church in Beaverton was another huge connection for me. To put myself on.
Is that where you go to church now? Still at
the
church up in...
That's where I'm going right now.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. That's so cool. Well, okay, so you're here. When was your last year that you played?
Last year.
Okay, so last year. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're in your MBA program.
Yes.
Got it. So walk me through a little bit. You got married.
Yeah.
And you've been married for a couple years?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So how'd you meet your wife? And I want to hear about that story.
Yes, I met my wife during 2020. Well, I've met her before. Well, I think it was during 2020.
Yeah.
Right before COVID.
Yeah.
At Corban, I used to lead like a small group, like a prayer group, because that's something that was part of me leading youth group in the Dominican Republic. And moving here, I was like, you know, I need this community. Like, I seen it. And also I saw the need, even though it was a Christian school, but I sometimes have different mindsets. So I saw the need, and I started doing this. And Valerie, well, now it's Olson, but she used to be Smith.
Okay.
Michael's sister. I remember we came into Corban during a spring semester. So I met Valerie, and then through Valerie, I met my wife, Mariah.
Got it.
So during COVID, I was single. I was like, you know, I'm looking for someone. And I remember of Mariah, who came to the prayer group one night. And she mentioned about doing something related to coaching. I was like, wow, this is like transformational coaching. I was like, this is something interesting.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to pursue that instead of pursuing a master. So it was an interesting conversation, and I wanted to get to know her. So I was like, okay, you should DM her and see what happens. So I was typing, hey, how you doing? I'd love to, you know, see her, get to know you more. But then I was like, okay, if I DM her, she's not going to take me as seriously as if she sees me in person.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be better if you wait until you go back to school so that you can see her in person. So I was patient, and I decided to wait until the fall semester of 2020. And then I was having lunch one time with Valerie, and then Mariah joined the conversation.
Great.
And I was like, I've been waiting for this moment. So, and then we started talking from there, and we got to share about our stories, and we became very good friends. And especially a lot of things happened when we first met. So there were the fires here.
Yeah.
So it was very sad, but those situations help us connect.
Yeah.
And even for baseball, I was quarantined because people around me tested positive. So that was more time that we spent together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I started a beautiful friendship. And then we realized after 7 months, we realized that we were meant to each other. So we got engaged.
Yeah.
And then few months later, we got married.
So inside of a year, you met her, dated, got married.
Yes,
Wow. Did you take her back to the DR to get married, or where did you guys get married?
we got married here in McMinnville.
McMinnville, okay.
Yes. So, and then for our honeymoon, we went to the DR.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she had visited the DR, but just at the airport. She hadn't got to town. So, yeah, we went on our honeymoon to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And the first time was rough because I am very, as I said, family oriented and friends. So by the time, she was more like an introvert person, and I'm an extrovert. Yeah. So I imagine that clash of me taking her. Yes. So I took her to see every neighbor in the community.
That's what you do.
And that's normal. Took her to see every family member. And I remember one time it was really hot, and my grandma even offered her some coffee. She was like, how is this possible? So for me, it was normal, but for her,
Yeah, drink coffee, man.
yes. So the cultural difference. So we've learned so much just in almost 2 years of being married. So the Lord has been very good. And I'm very thankful to be married to her.
Yeah.
So she brings a lot of skills that I do not have, but I'm learning and working. And she's very empathetic. And it's been amazing to be doing our masters together. So
she's also doing her master's at Corban?
Yes, we're doing the same thing. We're doing our masters in clinical mental health counseling.
Both of you?
Yes.
Awesome. And you both will graduate at the same time?
Yes.
And then will you guys work together in a clinic somewhere, on your own practice? What does that look like?
So at the beginning, yes, that's one of our goals. Hopefully to start our own practice, or probably learn from someone and understand about the system of counseling and the business part.
Yeah.
And my personal goal is to work with baseball players or athletes in general. Have 18 years of experience doing this, and my goal will be to share what I've learned over time with other people.
And having athletes as your main client, yeah, for you. Your wife may have a different clientele.
Yes, yeah. For her, she's more focused with women. That's like her passion. And I'm like, if that's what you love, go for it. So, yeah, I have my passion with sports athletes. So,
yeah. Are kids in your guys' future? Is that something you guys look forward to?
Yes. I wanted to have 10 kids. But then she's fine, hopefully with 3.
Okay, that's the number. Lord willing, you guys have just a quick story. So, my dad, he has 8 brothers and 5 sisters, so he had 14 kids in his family.
Wow.
And so I can remember the first time I took my wife, we were dating, took her to my hometown, little hometown in Prineville, Oregon, Central Oregon. And I'm like you. I took her around and introduced her to all the cousins and aunts and uncles, because that's what I do. And she's like overwhelmed. And now we've been married for 31 years. And she's definitely more introverted as well, like your wife. And it never gets easier for her, but she endures. But it's kind of funny. But you and I have a real similar. Even though I didn't grow up in the DR, but we love family. I mean, I'm all about. I'm at Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. There's 100+ people.
Wow.
Always. It's just what it is. And so that's normal for me. But that's great, man. You're a real family oriented man. Do you guys think you'll live in McMinnville? Or you guys move back to the DR? What would that look like?
Yes, I would love to move to the DR. Hopefully, once we have kids, I would love for them to have a closeness to the culture, if possible. Also, I would love for them to learn the language. So Mariah is learning her some Spanish. So it's a progress.
That's cool. So about a year ago, I believe it was, you started your own podcast.
Yes.
Walk me through that. Stories with Richi. I know the name of it. I've got to watch one episode, which is really awesome. Husband and wife.
Okay.
How many have you done? What made you started? And what's your goal with your podcast?
Hope. That's a meaningful word.
Philippians 4:6-7, man.
Yes, let me. I have it right here. So Philippine 6 and 7 says, "Do not be anxious for anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus." So I remember being while I was here in the U.S., I found myself, I was in a youth group. I remember Juan was leading, and for some reason that Bible verse stuck to me. Like, it's been with me ever since, because I was in that time, okay, I made it to the U.S. However, I don't have a clear purpose. Like, I cannot see the path of where I'm headed. Like, I feel kind of hopeless, even though I was here.
Yeah.
So I was kind of anxious. I was worried and concerned. And today I see myself that the Lord has helped me in so many ways. And I've seen that the challenges that I've overcome, financial situation, I couldn't afford to go to college in the Dominican Republic. And today I'm doing my master's in the United States.
It's pretty cool.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
So, like, when I look back, like, not a lot of people that went to school with me have been able to experience this opportunity that I've been blessed. And I cannot say, okay, I did it on my own, because there are so many people that helped me to be where I am today.
Yeah. So
it'll be like so selfish to say,
yeah,
here,
look at me, look what I've done.
Yes. So for me, it was like, I remember being in class. It was a children and adolescent class. So for some reason, during that class, I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, you need to start sharing people's stories. You need to provide a place where people can share who they are, what they've gone through, and how they were able to overcome their challenges. So that's where Stories with Richi comes from. This idea of that, okay, wherever you are in life today, it doesn't determine who you are. Like, there is hope. So I realized that a lot of people are, in the same boat, where they might feel stuck, or like how we just recently listened to another podcast of someone struggling with addictions. And that's part of the stories. We have couples, we have athletes, people who were addicted to drugs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Stories with Richi is about stories to motivate others and to pursue their goals, to realize that there is hope if we trust in God, that He can help us overcome our challenges. And just me, where do I see this moving forward? So right now I'm planning to take a break, and one of my goals is to take this time to help other people to pursue their goals with podcasting.
Ooh.
So I'm more into going to a transition to be behind the scene, helping other people grow and get this movement going. If I was able to do it, you can do it. And I'm happy to share what I've learned and how I want to see other people growing.
Yeah.
So that brings me joy.
Yeah.
So that's where I see right now myself. And in the future, I hope that a year from now to come back, but it will be more focused on mental health, which is what I'm learning at school.
Yeah.
So I would love to bring professors, people in the area of psychology, and that they can share their stories and how they've been, being able to help others. So if I continue, it might be like in a slower pace.
Yeah.
But it's to keep people engaged. But that's where I'm transitioning right now. And I'm figuring out what will that take for me to get the certification to help athletes. So I'm figuring out a lot of things while helping other people.
Dude, awesome. I love that. First of all, the Philippians verse 4 starts with rejoice in the Lord. Again, I say rejoice. And you talk about joy. What brings you joy? It's good to be out front. God calls us to be out there sometimes, but He also calls us to just be a servant and do the work. And what I hear you say is that you have a lot of joy serving people.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. You're serving me. You know, we're doing podcasts here, and so. But what brings me joy is hearing your story, right? Your journey from the DR to America, college, baseball, getting married. You know, what's your story? Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? You know, and I realize that we have to depend upon God. You know, walking by means of the Spirit. You know, waiting for Him, being patient. You talk about being patient. So I'm not patient. I mean, it's not a natural thing for us to be patient, but patience is a beautiful thing when God's in it. So I love where you're at. Well, you've learned a lot along the way. What are some questions I can ask you? Is there any questions that maybe, an interpreter for missionaries? I mean, we can talk about that. We can talk about being a youth group pastor. Talk about that real quick. Kind of what you're thinking. You know, are you still a youth group pastor? You still find joy in doing that? What does that look like moving forward? Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so let's go with the missionary part. For me, it was such a blessing to be able to learn English, which is an amazing skill. And if somebody who's listening to me and they'll be wondering what language they should learn, if you're an English speaker, make sure you try to learn Spanish. I think it is so helpful, especially here in the Northwest, as there are a lot of Hispanics and the system is changing all the time. So I think being able to communicate with people and I can see their faces, how speaking their language, how they feel joy and they feel connected. So for me, it was such a blessing to be able to serve in the villages we call bate in the DR. So that's like poor communities.
Yeah.
You know, sugarcane is very predominant. That's a common job for people like lower class. So that's something that I would love to do, to go back with missionaries group, because I can see the need of hope, the need of not just to share the gospel, but also to provide support, something tangible that people can make something that we can make a lasting impact in people's lives. So that's something that I would love to see myself doing in the future. Youth group, I don't feel the same as I was, if you ask me, 5 years ago. That was my go-to passion. I remember even mentioning to Mariah, I'm like, what if I'm a youth pastor? Would you be down for that? And she was like, yeah, I'm down. So she's down for everything I would do. The tricky thing was playing professional baseball. So that was the dream.
Right.
So for her, she was like, so it has to be done in a different way. But the whole point with the youth group, I'm willing to help bring in content. That's where I'm headed right now.
Yeah.
And I think I can provide some value for the church, El Buen Pastor in Beaverton. So that's where I see myself right now. But anyways, I'm connected with some parents, and the way I can see myself helping is by, instead of being in groups, I'm more like into the one-on-one, like mentoring.
Yeah.
And that's something that I love that you guys are doing here in Salem. I would love to bring this to Beaverton, because I don't know much of what's going on in there. So I'm more from Salem, because that's where most of my connections are.
Yeah.
But I can see the need over there of mentoring. So that's something that I appreciate from this community. And I would love to bring that over there. So I see myself working more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Just getting together, listening to where they are at. And one experience that was very impactful for me was working at a correctional facility. So I was able to work with my client.
You did?
Yes, yes. During my time working at the correctional facility, it was a growing experience for me, because I learned to connect with people that have different values than me, and they come from different background. So for me, it was joyful just to work at my favorite units were the intake units. because they were new to the system. They had a lot of questions, and they were more open to share about their stories. And a common theme that I found, it was the parenting side. Not a lot of people had the opportunity of me having my parents together and being present, having my mom who was always on top, and we always had this rough relationship. But today I see her every weekend. I'm very thankful for this.
Totally.
So my dad, however he was able to help, I'm so thankful for that. So I can see how parenting is so important. So I can see myself moving, instead of just with the youth, I see myself working with parents. And it would be like, oh, like, I don't have a kid. And I'm like, well, but I was a teenager.
Yep.
And I have an idea based on my experience as a teenager and what I've learned as a youth group leader working at a correctional facility. And so that's how I can see myself making a difference.
It's interesting. So moving forward, when I hear you say it brings you joy to do the one-on-one mentoring, really loving these kids that are coming in from as an intake to McLaren, really pouring into their lives. And I'll bet you most of these, are these both women and men, or just men only in this one here?
You mean at the correctional?
The correction.
Just male.
Just male.
It would be crazy if it was.
Yeah. I would bet that the majority of those young men have a dysfunctional upbringing. A dad's not a present, or something going on with this dysfunction.
Drugs and parenting dysfunction, that was a main theme that I noticed. And it is unfortunate. I saw kids being like 12 years old getting into the system, and that's something that I would do whatever I can to help people know together. And if they're there, I would love at some point to volunteer because they're struggling with the staffing issues. So it's not easy. So
What a gift. Kids need help, and I think being a mentor, for the rest of your life. So do you think you and your wife will also do mission trips together? Like, will you guys do that as you progress in marriage? And what are the things you're going to teach your kids when you have your kids? What are some of those lessons that you've taken with you or learned as a kid that maybe your parents taught you that you want to pass on?
First of all, I'm aware that I'm not perfect.
You're not perfect. Okay. Thank God.
I've noticed that parents put a lot of pressure on the first one and all this expectation. Yeah. So I think I will be more flexible.
Are you a firstborn?
I am the youngest.
You're the youngest. Okay.
Yeah. So I have two older brothers, Eric and Hilberto. So they have their families, they have kids.
Got it.
So that's a good question. I just think I'll have low expectations on me. I mean, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put a lot of pressure on, I want to be this perfect dad. And first of all, I am praying right now for my kid.
I'm praying for you right now too, and your kids.
Yeah, because, parenting is not easy. And I've seen some different stories where parents, they have done everything great and things don't turn their way. And then they feel so guilty and disappointed of put the money, put the time, and this didn't work. And I think what we can control is to put our kids in God's name, and Lord, we trust you. We can do our best. And from my parents, I appreciate that. Even though they came from rough upbringing, they were able to say, okay, I don't want that for my kids, and I want to be there for them however I can. So I appreciate that from them. It was hard, living in the DR. It's hard. You have to survive. That's how I say.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, just some things that my wife and I had two daughters, and so raising them early on, as a parent, you don't know what to do. Yeah, we have the Bible and we can read certain things on, how to love our kids and not provoke them onto anger and to raise up in the way they should go. But sometimes I can read it but not fully understand it or implement it. But one thing I did learn to do is go talk with men who are farther along than me in fatherhood and really be a student of somebody who's been there. And I remember a few men in my life, quite a few men that taught me what I did do. And no parent's perfect. Kids don't remember if you're perfect or not. What they do remember is, did you love me? And I know my dad and mom probably, feel guilty at times that they weren't perfect parents, but that's not the things I remember. I was loved, never missed a meal, played sports. I grew up playing baseball and football and wrestling, and lived a great life. And so have you. And I think you really appreciate your heritage, where you came from, where you're at today. You're very grateful. Your attitude is spot on, and really living that way every day of your life, being grateful. Because like I heard a story earlier today, sometimes kids don't turn out the way they should, and they go down bad roads, and God ultimately gets the final say. But how much pain is there in that? So, well, Richie, this has been a lot of fun hearing your story. You'd have known each other for maybe a month or two, maybe 3, I don't know. But I appreciate who you are, appreciate what you're doing. So I'm going to be watching you and see what you're doing. Yeah. So we'll keep in touch. What message can you leave our audience with that maybe is important, that maybe we didn't cover? Is there anything left in your thought that you just want to share before we sign off?
Yes. So I've been in sailing for the past 4 years, and I've seen how this town the city has been changing for the past 4 years in my experience. And I will encourage everyone who's listening or watching to make a difference with just one person at a time. Sometimes we see the problem and we want to fix it, like all of it at once, and boom, life is going to be perfect. And I think if we were able to have the mentality, I will be committed to help one person. And I know that if I help one person, that can be transferred for the people around that person. They will be like, okay, where did you find help? Just from that person. So one person at a time, I will encourage them just to ask themselves, who can I help today? And how can I be consistent? So part of my mentoring that's instilled in me with youth and parents. So I decided to start sponsoring youth in the DR to learn English. I'm like, okay, while I'm here, I would love them to be in my position. And I'm aware that because I had amazing support, and my dad that was there to support with English, and my middle brother, Gilberto. And also it was a huge influence to see my brothers being successful. For example, my oldest brother, Eric, he went to Taiwan. Imagine just one person from the neighborhood where we grew up, and to see someone go that far, that's a motivation. So based on my story, how far I am, and then helping people to gain skills, that's what I see myself making a difference. So, and I would love to encourage other people to do the same. Find something that you can help someone. And I know that I won't see the difference right away, but I know, for example, whenever I go back or either a mission trip or visiting, I'll be able to say, wow, I'm proud to see where this person is at based on me just taking the time, helping one person at a time.
I'm going to take up your challenge and really be focused on, because I think we can look at the problem and try to go fix the problem, but really impacting one person at a time and making a difference in their life. We can give a man a fish, he has fish for a day. We can teach a man how to fish, he has fish for a life. And I think really the call that we're supposed to be is to make disciples. And in a way, we're we're making disciples as we impact one person at a time. So I'm going to take that and make sure I'm asking the question, who would God have me impact today? And I can also be impacted too. I'm impacted by you and other men. So it's not like I'm always providing something, but who would God have me impact today? Who's that person? And I believe if you pray about it, God will put in your life somebody that you can impact. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, Richie, great to have you. Thank you for everyone who listens each week. We appreciate you. If you want to be on our podcast, we'd love to have you. We'd love to hear your story. If you know somebody that would like to be on our podcast, let me know. I'd love to know. You can email me at buddyp7@gmail.com. And then lastly for Richie, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how would they contact you and learn more about you, your story, and kind of what your passions are, and maybe about mentoring?
Yeah, they can reach out either on Instagram, YouTube, Stories with Richi. I'll put it down below. Yeah, Stories with Richi, and just reach out there and we can connect. So
cool. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you. We'll see you next week.